Hey there, hope you're having a good day. This video is about the Destin Beach 100-mile race. This is quite the race. This is an amazing race to do if you get the chance. It is fantastic. Actually, I contribute this race to me becoming hooked on ultras altogether. And because I had such a fantastic and amazing time. So I've been a part of the Destin race 3 times. The 50-miler was my very first ultra that I ever did. I went from running half marathons to marathons and then jumped right into the 50-mile race, and it was amazing. I had a blast. So I want to share some information about this particular race in hopes that it can help prepare you for doing this race, because it is quite the challenge. Because the whole race takes place on the beach, on the sand. There's no point at all where you leave the beach. So if you're not used to running on the sand, it can be quite the challenge. So I'm going to start from the beginning of how my experiences went and share information along the way that worked or did not work for me. So I was doing the marathon distance, and I wasn't taking it seriously. I knew I could do that distance, so I needed more of a challenge. So I looked at a race that I thought was really cool and beautiful. I love the beach. I'm from Florida, so I thought it would be really fun to do that race, and I was right. It was awesome. So I signed up for the 50-miler. I did some training runs on Myrtle Beach to prepare, and I was prepared. I was ready. I was used to running on the sand. I was good to go there. One thing I wish I had done, first of all, was I started out too fast, as usual, the rookie mistake that so many of us make. Be sure you watch your pace so don't get caught up in all the race excitement. It's so easy to do. And another thing that I totally wish I did was wear gaiters. That's these ankle sleeves that you can purchase to wear. I like the Dirty Girl brand. Also, Solomon makes some good ones. And that would have significantly helped my race in keeping the sand out of my shoes. Big issue there. So if you're gonna do this race, wear some gaiters for sure. So this race takes place in February, or at least at the time that I did the 3 different races that I did, it all took place in February. Of course, it's all flat because you are on the sand, but there were some parts where the sand was hard, and there was a lot of parts where the sand was soft. So just be ready for that. Do some training runs on the beach and get ready and prepared for that. So this is a very unique race. For the 50-miler, you start at 5 a.m. and you run 25 miles out, come back to one spot, and go 20 miles the other way. Oh wait, it was, no, the last one was, so you're running 15 miles out and 15 back, so it's 30, and then 10 miles out and 10 miles back to the start, which is at Topsail Hotel. That's where the main race starts. That's where the race starts and finishes, right there. And the 50-milers start at 5 a.m. The 100-milers start at 4 a.m. the day before. So that is quite a challenge for me. I'm a morning person, so staying up, not being able to sleep in too well, and then starting the race, the 100-miler at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, was an added challenge to me. So when you're doing the 100-mile race, you have 27 hours to finish this race, which that is a challenge. I'm a slow, steady runner. I'm not very fast, so I had to push it. I had to push it to make it in time for this race. Luckily I did. I completed each event the 3 different times, but it wasn't pretty. It was rough. I'm not gonna lie. It was a challenge for me. So An amazing experience though. So for the 50 miler, I ended up getting third place female overall and second place in my age group, which I had never even come close to winning anything before. And I had such a fantastic time that I was hooked on ultras from there on. So then the next year, I wanted to do the 100-mile distance, and that was my first 100-miler. And boy, was that rough. It was tough. So like I said, you start at 4 p.m. You're gonna run out and back for a mile, and for the first 50. You have a certain time frame from 4 p.m. on the night or the day before till 5 a.m. the next morning when the 50 milers start. So in that time frame, you're doing pretty much all overnight is you're running a mile out and running a mile back. You go through the timing area mat so they can record your time, and you just keep doing that all night long. Now, I thought that would be tough, but it really wasn't that bad at all because it's at night, and it's not like you're seeing a lot of different scenery anyway. So, but the sound of the ocean and the waves was really relaxing and fun. So I didn't have a problem with going back and forth all night long for 1 mile out, 1 mile back. Once you finish or complete the 50 miles, you have the option to keep going. So they have different categories for this race, and I was in the 27-hour 100-mile plus group. So you have to run at least 100 miles, but you can have the option to run further if you want to. And that is the second time I did the race is when I won the race overall, and I'll explain how I did that. So you run back and forth, 1 mile out, 1 mile back for at least 50 miles. If you still have some time, you can do another couple out and backs if you want to, or you don't have to. The first time I did the race, I was conservative. I ended up taking a rest before the 50 milers started, which I'm glad I did because I just barely finished the race. It was my first 100. I had started out too fast, and I really was glad I didn't push it when I had the chance to do extra mileage. I ended up coming in second place female because there was only 2 females left for the first time I did it. So the second time I did the 100-miler, so I did that race, had a blast, came back the next year and did the 100-miler. And I will mention before, when I did it the first time, the 100-miler the first time, I got paced for the last 20 minutes by Connie Gardner, which is one of my running idols. So that was really cool. I did these races. I did the 50-miler with a crew. I did the last two, the 100-milers, the last 2 races. At this location I did it solo. So I did get paced by Connie Gardner, which was a big surprise, was really cool. On the first time I ever did this race, which further got me hooked on ultras altogether. So that was an amazing race. But boy, was it was tough, and I barely finished. I had 18 minutes to spare when I finished that race in the time frame that they give you. They give you 27 hours. So the second time I went to do the 100-mile race, that I was a little more prepared. I had some time to do some training. I did a lot more training runs, further training runs. I had not done any other hundreds up at that point. So this was my second 100-miler when I went to do Destin 100 for the second time. Third ultra, second 100. And I was doing a lot better. I didn't start out as fast, so I stayed more slow, steady, and consistent. I was better with my nutrition. I had gotten more sleep in preparation for this race. So I just started off on a better foot. And then, so I did the 50 miles, and it was against me and this one other girl who's now a friend of mine, really cool runner. And so I was trying to stay ahead of her, and I just barely was. I was doing all right. I finished the 50. I felt good, so I decided to do another lap. I did So I finished that in that time frame. I did 52 miles. So, and she had done, I did 2 laps. So I finished with 54 miles. She did 52 miles, so she did 1 extra lap. So if I had finished, my plan was if I finished the race, then I would have been first place female. Little did I know, and I had no clue until much later in the race, that the first place male was right at 54 miles in the time frame. And once he found out that we were going to be tied, he took off and did an extra lap so that he could stay ahead of me. I did not know any of this was happening until later, but he ended up, so then we start the next half of the race, the last 50 miles, we start with the 50 milers at 5 a.m. in the morning. So we really just have to finish the distance, and then whoever has the most amount of miles wins the race. So what ended up happening was he dropped the gentleman. It was his first 100 miler, and for whatever reason, which I have no idea, he ended up dropping, and I completed the race and I won the race overall, which was the first time I ever did that, probably the last. That was hard, but at least I can say I won a race, been there, done that, and I'm good with that. But so that's how it works. It's a unique race of how they have it set up. So let me tell you about some of the details of the race. First off, food is excellent. The aid stations, the people are awesome. You're gonna have some really good food. In the morning, I had grits with shrimp, and that was delicious. Later on in the next aid station, I ended up having a bacon and potato wrap. It was nice and warm, so that was great. So the food is good, but one cool thing and unique thing about this race, so many unique things, is that further on in the race, I think it's around mile 85, close to 90 maybe, you're gonna pass this one restaurant twice, and the owner of that restaurant is an ultra runner, and he supports this race a lot and all the ultra runners. And what he will do is he will make anything that you want to eat from his restaurant and give it to you, no matter what. No charge to the runners, and he just feeds people whatever you want. So when you get to that point, you pass the restaurant, and then you have to do an out and back, 2 miles out, 2 miles back, and by the time you get back to that area, they have whatever you want ready for you. It is really a cool perk, really nice guy. I ended up ordering some grilled chicken the second time I went. The first time I went on the race, I had no appetite. I was really struggling big time, so I didn't get anything. But the second time I was doing a lot better. Ooh, it's getting cold here. The wind is picking up. Yeah, we're definitely in winter. And I was able to eat something, so I ordered some grilled chicken, and it was delicious. So really cool perk. It's awesome that he does that. He's so supportive of the runners. Sand, like I said, you're gonna run through some spots that are pretty soft, and that's a challenge. So what I did was I ran the harder parts of the sand, and I walked the softer parts of the sand, and that seemed to work pretty well for me. But just be ready for it. And water crossings, you're gonna have 2 spots where you're gonna have to cross some water, and the years that I did it, they got to be up to knee level, or I'm pretty short, so just right above my knee. I'm 5'3", so it didn't get any higher than that, just right above my knee. But you're gonna get wet, and the water is ice cold, so just be aware. You're gonna have 2 crossings. So you cross it twice, but then when you're coming back, you cross them again. So you're really having 4 crossings. Nothing too bad. It's not like a major current or anything. At least it wasn't when I crossed it. So you might want to talk to the race director. Zane is the race director. Really cool guy. Really takes this race to heart. He puts so much into preparation for this race that it's really awesome. You can you can tell the dedication he has to this race. Just if you hear him talk about it even for a minute. So a lot of the money that he raises, most of it actually, I know he has to pay for the race a little bit, but I think he puts just about everything else to the Wounded Warrior Fund, which he is so super passionate about. So listening to his story and talk about that and his experience is really touching and moving. And you get a lot of veterans at this race that you can talk to. It's really, I think that was one of the big perks of this race is listening to some of the people speak, listening to where the money for this race is, the donations and race entries, where they're going. It is an expensive race to do, but totally worth it for the cause. If you want to race with a good cause, this one is it. So they really get passionate about this, and it shows. It's really fun. When you go to the race meeting, which is, I think it's at 1 o'clock before the start of the race, the 100 milers, around, I'm pretty sure it was at 1 o'clock, they talk about a lot of it. So, and then you'll see some veterans there, and you can have a conversation with them. Really worth your time to do that, because some of their experience is just incredible. Another thing that I ran into that I was pleasantly surprised about was the medical team. So the second time I did the race, I got a lot of sand in my shoes. My feet were really uncomfortable, and I got major blisters, and I was quite in a lot of pain. So I got to the 80-mile point. I had 20 miles to go. I was going to just change out my socks, try to get some of the sand out. I sat down, took my shoes off, took off my sock, and right away somebody noticed my feet, my blisters, and without me saying a word, this whole team of like 3 people came running over to me with a big clear box of feet supplies, and I tell you, they could not have been any nicer. They were so sweet. They wanted to help in any way they could. They didn't really even ask anything. They just went to work. They got my socks off. They dried off my feet. They put baby powder on my feet. They put this goo on my blisters and then wrapped them up and got me as comfortable as possible to finish the last 20 miles. But the attitude in this race is just so kind and nice. While they were working on my feet, there was aid station people there wanting to get me a snack and refill my bottles of water. They just did so much initiating to help all the runners, and I was blown away. I have not been pampered at a race like that before, and I was touched. The volunteers are fantastic, and all those little things really help a lot. So like I said, I did this race solo. I didn't have any help. I was okay, and I knew that and everything, but the kindness of these complete strangers really was moving to me. I really appreciated it. Awesome people. I mean, this race is definitely one of my top races that I've ever done, and it was just the experience altogether. It was just fantastic. Again, tough race though. Running this whole distance on the sand in that short amount of time frame is not easy. So you have to train, you have to be ready, but totally 100% worth the time and experience for this race. It was awesome. Like I said, it got me hooked on ultras from that point forward. Oh, the heat. So the first time I did the race, it was pretty chilly, especially at night. It got cold, really cold, but I had lots of layers and I was okay. And I used a heating pad, like one of those ones that you use once and you can throw it away, but it was like a big one for your back, and I put one on my torso and I put one on my back, and I loved it. It stayed really warm. That worked out really well. The second time I did the 100-miler, it was a hot race. So Florida is unpredictable. You never know what the weather is going to be like. And that was the case here. It was hot. I wore a tank top and shorts the entire race, including overnight. It got into the 80s during the day. We were all struggling with staying hydrated, and so that was a challenge. But you never know what you're going to get out there, so be prepared and ready for anything. So a lot of people stayed at the host hotel, which is just a short walk onto the beach to the starting line. That was very convenient for people. I ended up staying at a hotel down the road that was a little bit cheaper, and I was fine with that. But if you're solo and you don't have a crew, just keep in mind that you do have to get in the car and drive to your hotel afterwards, which can be a challenge when you're delirious and tired and exhausted and very stiff. Doable, and it's okay, but if you can have the experience of staying at the host hotel, I would do that if you can. It worked. And they also have the award ceremony at the hotel after the race. They do it like 15 minutes after the finish of the 100-miler. So, and you're already there, so it kind of works out. Let's see. That's pretty much how the race went. They do have good food overnight. They ordered pizza, and they had lots of other food, but with any ultra, I always bring food, a variety that works for me, just because I never know what I'm going to want to eat. And when I get really hot or tired or I'm in pain, it's not always easy to eat what you planned on eating. So have a variety if you can, just to be prepared. Have plenty of layers, warm clothes if you need it. You never know how cold it's going to get, and wear gaiters. That's pretty much my experience with this race. It was awesome. If you get the chance, go for it. Have a blast at this race. It's for such a good cause, Wounded Warrior program. And again, the passion that these volunteers and race directors, he gets his whole family involved for this cause, and it's awesome. I met Zane's father. He was there supporting the runners. I mean, it's a whole family affair, an event. You feel the passion, and you feel how much dedication everybody at this race has, and that's not something I experienced or not to this level at other races, which I found amazing. So if you get the chance, do it. Oh, the racers, all the other runners were phenomenal. I've made so many good friends from this event that we keep in touch on Facebook and follow each other and support each other. I've met the most amazing people at this race, and that's invaluable. So I really appreciate that, and it's great. So happy training. Enjoy the training run on the beach, and go out there and crush it. Have a blast, and go make some memories. Have a great day.